Hello everyone, Mr. Mobs here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. So today is slightly different. Normally I do gameplay videos, but today I'm going to do a top 10 list. This is in celebration of reaching 50 subscribers. I know it's not a very big number, but that was my goal. I've now doubled that goal to 100 subscribers. So firstly, thank you to the 50 of you that have taken the time to subscribe. I really appreciate it. I am a brand new channel and I do this for fun, weirdly. So yeah, I'm not getting paid, so every subscription is really appreciated. My new goal is 100 subscribers, so if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. I will appreciate it. Now, for today's video, it's going to be a top 10 VR games that I've personally enjoyed playing. Not necessarily the best VR games I've ever played, but just the top 10 that I really want to recommend to you guys out there. I've tried to pick a few more obscure titles on the list, so hopefully there's something a bit different and something new for all of you guys out there. Some of the veterans might be more aware of these games, but either way, I hope you really enjoy the video, and if you've got any suggestions the games I haven't covered on the list, which obviously there's thousands, so yeah, please put your suggestions in the comments. I'll have a look through, might well play a few of those games myself, and perhaps do some future content based on those. Hope you enjoy the video. Like I say, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Okay, so the first game on my list is going to be Lucky's Tale. Lucky's Tale is a 3D platform game released in 2016 as a launch title and packing game for the Oculus Rift. A remastered version of the game was released for the Oculus Quest 2 and PCVR headsets via Steam in 2021. The remaster featured improvements to the game's graphics, audio and movement, as well as replacing Lucky's character model with one from the new Super Lucky's Tale. The thing I like about this game, it reminds me of some of the old PlayStation 1 games, like Crash Bandicoot. They're very cute kind of graphics. I like this game in particular because it kind of does something different for VR. You don't see a lot in this kind of genre. VR is quite heavy on the kind of zombie shoot 'em up style games, so yeah, it's really nice to see something a bit different. I really wish that they'd make more games like this. It suits really well. The gameplay that you can see on the screen hopefully kind of gives you an idea, but when you actually have the headset on and you're kind of immersed in this world, it really is something special. Yeah, I'd love to see more games like this done in VR. So yeah, definitely one I would recommend to anyone who hasn't tried it yet. You can get this on standalone or, like I say, PCVR. This is the Rift version I've got here playing. Standalone is pretty much the same, I believe. But yeah, definitely worth a try if you haven't already. Okay, so the next game on my list is Ultra Wings 1 and 2. The game that you can see on your screen at the moment is actually Ultra Wings 2. For those of you who are old enough to remember Pilot Wings on the Nintendo, on the Super Nintendo, and then I believe on the 3DS and possibly the N64, I guess this is the VR equivalent of that game. It's got some kind of light-hearted flight sim action coupled with various missions to take on and try and complete. Ultra Wings 1 is a really fun game. That was the first one I played, obviously being Ultra Wings 1. Then yeah, was really looking forward to the sequel and got that straight away. There's tons of areas to explore, lots of new planes they've all got their own kind of flying style and stuff like that. The thing I like about this game, it's not like Microsoft Flight Simulator. You don't particularly need to know an awful lot to fly these planes. Once you're up in the air, it's really good fun. At the moment I'm just playing the free flight mode, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Again, this is the Rift version. I believe from memory, I might be wrong here, but I believe it's cross-buy, so if you buy it on standalone you also get it on the Rift, but you might want to check that out just in case I'm wrong. But yeah, really fun game to play. Um, Probably not so good if you suffer with motion sickness, so you're kind of new to VR. Not a problem for me, but some of you might find it a little bit um, difficult to play to begin with. As you can see here, doing a loop the loop. Yeah, so it's really good fun game to play. Lots of different modes on it. Definitely worth checking out. Um, yeah, give it a try. Okay, next we have Down the Rabbit Hole. Down the Rabbit Hole is set in Wonderland prior to Alice's arrival. You will guide a girl looking for her lost pet, solving various puzzles and making various decisions that impact the story along the way. Now, this game again is slightly different to your generic games that you'll see in VR. I liken it to another game, Moss, which you kind of control a small mouse to kind of go around a miniature world. This is a similar sort of thing. So you controlling this little girl who's going around trying to find a lost pet. Um, Lots of kind of funky characters and settings, as you'd imagine from a Alice in Wonderland style game. As you can see on the screen now, there's a girl. You kind of move her around. What's quite interesting about this game is it does kind of zoom into first person mode in places as well. So you'll be moving your character around in third person, and then there's kind of bits where you'll zoom into first person and you'll be speaking to different characters and there'll be different dialogue. Another interesting thing about this game is the way you kind of move the scene around. You can't see in this particular bit because I'm just looking around with my head. But in several scenes, there's kind of these branch things that you have to hold on to with the grip buttons, and then you can move the whole scene around. You can move it up and down and zoom it in and stuff. Bit hard to explain, but it's a very unique kind of control feature. So yeah, it goes through, tells a story again, lovely little story. It's quite long. It's a lot longer. I have completed this game. A couple of years ago now. I originally played it on the Oculus Quest 1, back when they were called Oculus rather than Meta. Um, so yeah, anyway, Oculus Quest 1 completed it. There's a good few hours of gameplay there. It's collecting things along the way and stuff like that, unlocking new bits. Once you've played it, there's probably not a lot of replay factor in it, to be fair. I mean, once you've played it, that's pretty much it. But again, it's definitely a game worth playing. Probably not the best graphics, but it's quite an interesting play style, what they've done with it. I'd say anyone who has played the game Moss before, and if you enjoyed that kind of play style, it's similar to that, but with a twist maybe. So yeah, pretty enjoyable. Here you go. Here's the bits here. You can probably see where I'm grabbing those tree branches, and you grab them with both hands, and you can pull the scene in and out. Yeah, it's quite a good game. Definitely worth a go.
Hiding. Oh, it was right under my nose the whole time. Oh, finally done. Ah! Holy carrots!
Oh.
What did you do? My invitations! Where did they all go? My wife is gonna have my carrots! The last time this happened, she murdered 37 of our children!
Your wife?
No! The Queen, of course!
Okay, so the next game on the list is called Virtual Reality 2 Update. It's quite a mouthful. I haven't got that wrong. That is actually the name of the game. This is the second game in the series. I think the first one is just called Virtual Reality. So yeah, this is probably the most obscure game on the list. In fact, it definitely is. Probably guess that just by the title alone. It's very hard to explain this game and how it works. It's probably the weirdest game I've ever played, not just in VR, but on any console. So yeah, there's no point me even trying to explain the plot. You just kind of go through a series of kind of like puzzles, worlds. You interact with different characters. The interactions are all really funny, and this has got a great sense of humour. This game probably won't appeal to everyone. I guess anyone who's seen any of the Monty Python films, I guess you could liken it to those. But really, it's a game that you just got to play for yourself, or at least probably watch a video specifically on that if you're not sure. The good thing about meta games is when you purchase one, you can, if you don't like it, and you only played up to, I think it's if you got to own it for less than 2 weeks or played it less than 2 hours, you can always request a refund if you really don't get on with it. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend, if you like something a bit different, a bit quirky, give this game a go. You won't have tried anything similar to it before. Probably the best thing I could do is just let you watch a little bit of the gameplay rather than talk all the way through it. And then you can just see for yourself what I'm talking about. So here you go. This game's called Virtual Reality Reality 2 Update.
There you are. Whew. Welcome to Scottsdale, the top-rated social metaverse. My name's Cookie, your personal concierge for your new existence. Right now, you're probably reveling in the freedom of being pure data. Whee! Goodbye, meat sack. What's your name, citizen? Oh, that noise. Oh, oh my. It looks like you're missing a few things, like, speech. You see, whole brain emulation is quite delicate. Don't be alarmed. Botched uploads are quite common recently and covered by your terms of service. I'll simply put in a support request. Oh, that's your personal Scottspop messaging device, your first DM. Until we get that voice module fixed, what should I call you? Oh, a bona fide human. Humans are 70% liquid. Juicy. I'll call you Drip. Ready, Drip? Let's head to Scottsdale's main gates for a message from our founders.
Okay, so number 6 on the list is called A Fisherman's Tale. This is a lovely story-based game, and it's a personal favourite of mine. I played this originally very early on when I first started getting into VR. And this particular game won, I think, VR Game of the Year in 2019, and for good reason, in my opinion. Although it's not the most kind of graphically demanding game, the concept of the game is really good. It tells a lovely little story. You play as a tiny fisherman's puppet living in a tiny cabin. You hear a radio broadcast that tells you about a storm. You got to kind of piece together the world as you're going through it in like a puzzle basis. Again, like all these games I'm trying to explain, they're very hard, as it's a bit different to the norm. But yeah, like I say, graphically it's not amazing, and gameplay wise, I think it's fairly short. It's one of the shorter ones on my list. But yeah, it's definitely worth playing through for sure. There is a sequel out called Another Fisherman's Tale, I think it's called. That I have purchased, but I've not really played a lot of that one yet. But this is the first one. You buy it standalone. You may well be able to buy the PCVR version. I can't imagine that there's any gains from buying the PCVR version over the standalone one. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but yeah, definitely worth looking at if you haven't already tried it.
Nice and warm, safe from the storm. Next, he would take his duster and carefully dust his lucky seashell over there on the shelf. His routine never changed. Next, he would dust the little seashell on the shelf in the corner. There. The shell reminded him of the sea when it was calm.
Right, number 5 on the list is called Rez Infinite. This may not need any introductions for some of my older viewers. The original version of Rez was released on the Sega Dreamcast. It's a rhythm-based rail shooter type game, known for its quirky style graphics and kind of rave type music tracks. This game does come with a warning for anyone who suffers from epilepsy or seizures due to the flashing lights and effects. As you can see on the screen, it's a bit of a different game yet again. I enjoyed it back on the Dreamcast days. I think I might have also owned it on the PlayStation 2 at some point. It was definitely back in the day um, one of a kind. I guess since those days, there's been a few similar type games, but this one has definitely got a cult following. Yeah, and some pretty good music once it gets going. The music kind of builds up, so it starts off at quite a steady, slow beat, not much going on. But as you go through the game and you build up your character by shooting all the things around you, it kind of builds up the beat. Again, a little bit like the Tetris game that's out now in VR as well, the Tetris Effect, a very, very similar sort of style to that, I guess, where the music kind of builds up according to the game style. Yeah, definitely another one worth getting. It's nice this game as well because you can just sit down and play it, so you don't need to be standing. That's not even a word. Stood. So yeah, it's a seated game. Definitely worth a try. Right, number 4 is a game called Pixel Ripped 1995. I believe there are a couple of different versions of this game, different dates, but the review is for this particular version, the 1995 edition. You start the game as an in-game character who asks for some help from a 9-year-old boy who's obsessed with video games. Um, and yeah, so then it kind of morphs into the 9-year-old boy's world. He's sat there in front of a TV playing the game of the character that you originally was. Um, there's things going on around the boy. You've got the mum that comes in and randomly talks to him. There's a kid outside the window who's a bully who keeps teasing him. Um, yeah, very weird take on things. I've not played this game all the way through, I must be honest. But from what I have played, I really liked it. Again, I guess it kind of taps into my love for kind of retro games and stuff like that. It's really fun the way you put the game in the console and then you can start playing it. One stage you're playing on a handheld as well. The games look well like this particular bit, as you can see, looks like a kind of old Super Nintendo Zelda game. There's lots of nods to Zelda, I think, and Nintendo in general on this particular version. I've not played any of the other ones, so I can't really comment on those. But definitely, again, if you like all the kind of retro style gaming, then it's one to kind of look for. The art style is really fun. The concept of it's really fun. Like I say, I've not played all the way through it, so I couldn't tell you how long the game lasts. It's definitely one that I'd like to go back through and play some more. Just recording the content for this video reminded me of how cool it was. So hopefully, when I get a little bit more time, I'll put a bit more time into this game. But yeah, definitely worth a look, as I keep saying with all of these videos. Okay, number 3 on the list is a game called The Last Clockwinder. It's probably the most recent game out of all the games that I've listed in this video. It it's a really good game for not trying to follow anything else and doing its own thing. Very hard to explain like every single game that I've pretty much told you about in this video so far. Basically, it's a puzzle game. You need to solve a series of puzzles by kind of recording your own hand movements. And then once you've recorded those movements, you move on to the next section of the puzzle, whilst a robot will then take over the hand movements that you've recorded. So you're kind of setting these movements that then robots will then follow. It's really hard to explain. My explanation is not very good, unlike this game that is very good. So please don't be put off by my terrible explanation. Probably worth noting as well, in this video that I've recorded, I'm actually sat down playing. I didn't have an awful lot of room where I was recording the video, so yeah, I'm seated and I'm having to use the kind of point and click. Can't remember the actual term used for it, but the point and click version of the movement rather than the smooth movement. So yeah, it doesn't really show off the game to its best, but like I say, it's really a really good game. Bit quirky, something different, definitely worth giving a try. Okay, number two on the list might not need any introduction to most of you. This game's called Lone Echo. It's one of the more mainstream titles out of the list, so most of you guys have probably heard of it. However, it's been out for a really long time, and I don't really see it mentioned as often as it should be. It's definitely one of those AAA VR experiences that everyone should try, along with games like Half-Life Alyx. Only one problem with this one is it's only available PCVR. I believe it was originally created for the Oculus Rift, a part of the Oculus Studios. This is the Echo VR 1 that I'm showing on screen now. There is a sequel to that, also worth a mention, just as good. So yeah, unfortunately, if you've not got access to PCVR, you won't be able to play this one. But I really wanted to include it on the list because, yeah, it's just a really good game that just doesn't get mentioned these days. So anyone who's fairly new to VR perhaps isn't aware of this game. So it's worth a shout out just for that alone. I might actually upload a video eventually just for this game, and also I plan to upload some videos on how to go about playing PCVR, because I often see a lot of questions surrounding that, so it's probably worth a mention. But yeah, so this particular game, you end up you're in space, you're this kind of robot style thing. You go around doing various tasks. Yeah, it's kind of a anti-gravity style game, so probably not so good for people who've just started getting into VR. You need to find your VR legs a bit, potentially could get a bit motion sick from playing this game. But yeah, really, really fun game, um, really good graphics, and give it a try. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jack.
There's no need to apologize, Olivia. While the situation is unfortunate, it's not your fault.
Come on then. No sense putting it off. Let's get our last week started. Why don't you go activate the bridge while I pull the overnights?
Copy that.
Transitioning to daytime cycle.
I'm really going to miss this part. I'll get started on the morning checklist in a bit. Just give me a moment to soak in this view.
Take your time.
Okay, last but not least, the last game on the list is called The Line. This game is not so much a game but an experience. You follow a boy through a small town while a story is being told. So you're just kind of like going through a story, quite a nice love story. Um, there is some interactions between you and the characters, so you do have to do certain things to progress the story. But I wouldn't really call this a game as such, but it's an experience. Um, it's won a bunch of awards. I couldn't tell you what all the awards were, but if you have a look online, there are quite a few different awards for this particular one. Um, it's super cheap as well. I think it only in English money, I think it only costs a couple of pounds, maybe £2 or £3. And yeah, it's definitely worth a look. It's also one that you might want to show people that are new to VR. You play it seated. Well, I say play, but you watch or play, whatever, seated. You don't have to be stood. And yeah, it's a lovely little introduction to VR. The art style is really cool, and a great little story there. So um, for a couple of pounds, it's worth giving a go.
She waters her garden once every cycle, even though not a single drop of water comes out of the hose. She doesn't even notice. Well, it may be too repetitive for some, but not for Pedro, the paper boy. He quite enjoys a life without surprises. Even the newspapers he delivers bring the same news every time. Proud of his articulated legs, Pedro is the only doll who can ride across the entire model.
Okay, well, that's my top 10 recommendations for you all. There's hundreds and thousands of VR titles out there, lots more that I could have included in this list. I had to narrow it down to 10, so hopefully there's something new in there for all you guys to try. Please let me know what you think about this video in the comments. Tell me some of your favorite obscure VR games that you've been enjoying, plus any suggestions for future videos are also very welcome. I'll try and add the referral links for these videos to the description if YouTube lets me. Thank you and speak to you soon. Bye bye.